Hi. Hola.
Hi, here's Mr. Dozy.
This is Michael Bradley.
Hey, I'm Memphis.
Hey.
Hola. Hello.
I'm here with soccer.com.
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 And I'm talking with my friends soccer.com.
See you soon.
Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my first impressions plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas X 16.1 in the Mercury pack colorway. Now, included with the shoes inside the box, you do of course get a string bag. The string bag is a black mesh material with black strings and features the X logo as well as your Adidas branding there in white on the front. Along with the bag, you of course get the shoes themselves, which definitely have an interesting look. This is the alternate top-end model in the new X16 lineup. The more expensive variation, the X16 Plus Pure Chaos, retails at $300 US. I made a video on those pretty recently. If you missed it and you want to check it out, I'll leave an annotation on screen. And this is the alternate top-end model, the X16.1, that retails for $100 less at $200 US. So kind of on par with most top-end models. And as you guys can see by the design, it does not feature the lace cover. The laces are fully exposed, but it does have a fairly similar upper. It does have the same sprint frame and stud pattern minus the shiny finish. And it does share a lot of similarities to that top end, or more expensive, I should say, $300 shoe. With that said, with the design being as similar as it is, it does actually have some differences when it comes to the general fit and feel of the shoe, and that's what we're going to be highlighting in today's video. We're going to go over all the tech specs. We're going to talk about everything you need to know in regards to weight, as well as how these things fit and feel on feet. So if you are interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you'll find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair for yourself, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's go over all the tech specs and performance features of the X16.1. Now, by just looking at the shoe, I think a lot of people would automatically assume that this is just like the 16 Plus Pure Chaos minus the lace cover, and it isn't. I have the Pure Chaos shoe right here, so you can see them side by side. The Tech Fit collar is the one aspect of the shoe where, again, it looks very similar. It's this orange section you see here at the top. The upper is technically one piece on this particular shoe, and if you guys watch my video on the Pure Chaos model, you know that the Tech Fit collar actually makes up basically the back 2/3 of the shoe. The entire midfoot has this elasticated material wrapping your foot right to the base of the sole. You don't have that on the 16.1. Essentially, you have that elasticated material right here at the top, and then it ends basically right about here where it fuses to the synthetic upper. Same thing goes for the S-curve. It's something they kind of carried over, but it's not something that I guess is going to make or break your experience with this shoe, and it doesn't really feel like what you get on the 16 Plus Pure Chaos. This is mainly here just for looks, and that's about it. The actual rest of the synthetic material itself, again, while it looks very similar to what you're going to find on the Pure Chaos, not exactly the same pattern, it does feel like a different synthetic. This is what they call their Tech Fit upper. Not very specific in regards to the type of synthetic here. On the Pure Chaos model, honestly, it's thin, it feels soft, it's flexible. It reminds me a lot of the synthetic upper variation of the X15.1, the previous model, whereas this shoe, the X16.1, feels thicker. It's not quite as soft. I don't want to say that it feels bad, but it doesn't feel the way I was expecting it to. It has more thickness to it than I perhaps would like on this style of shoe. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you were picking these up with the expectation that they were going to be super, super thin, they aren't. It does have some thickness to it. There is a padded liner on the inside as well. I don't want to say that it feels bad, but like I said, I think a lot of people would buy this shoe with the expectation that it's kind of like a Vapor 10 or Vapor 11 competitor, and it isn't. It's a much, I guess, more robust synthetic than you might expect based on how it looks. And the press release is really confusing in regards to kind of explaining what it is, because like I said, all the info that you're going to find pretty much anywhere is that this is a Tech Fit upper, and that doesn't really mean anything. You have the Tech Fit graphic right there as well. Another mistake in the press release, at least what I believe is a mistake, is the non-stop grip feature, which you're going to find listed everywhere, but as you can see, this does not have the non-stop grip dots like you'll find on the Pure Chaos model. So that is something that, again, I suppose the texturing within these little stripes would act or could act as nonstop grip. It doesn't feel like that to me, and it's kind of embossed in the upper, so it's not something that would even make contact with the ball really. But they label it as a performance feature on the shoe, but I don't actually see or feel it on the shoe, given that nonstop grip is something that every single time it's been included is these little small dots. So something I wanted to point out on the X16.1. The texturing on the upper, it's mostly smooth, and then again, you have these little embossed areas. And then the Adidas logo is actually kind of like a sandpaper finish, which feels pretty cool, but it's on a part of the shoe that is going to rarely make contact with the ball. Laces run through the middle. As you guys can see, you do not have the lace shroud, the pure cut system as they call it. And the laces are attached to the upper via these little nylon straps, which you'll also find within the lacing system on the Pure Chaos. But unlike that shoe, again, those nylon straps don't go to the base of the sole. So this is not acting like a cable support system. These little straps basically end right here. They're underneath the liner on the inside of the shoe. You don't feel any bumps or anything like that. But these nylon straps are purely here to allow laces to run through the middle. Now again, it's a one-piece upper, so a lot of people will probably ask, can I wear them without laces? And sure, you could, but the laces are still kind of holding the two sides of the shoe together, pulling them together and giving you that extra stability that you wouldn't otherwise have if the laces weren't there. So highly recommended that you wear these or these with the laces used and tie them up properly when you are going to use them. But I just wanted to point that out, that these straps don't go all the way to the base of the sole, perhaps like you would expect just based on how it looks, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The other thing I'm not crazy about, and it's something that they kind of did on this shoe, but they covered it up a little bit better, is this seam. You have a very, very clunky seam that feels kind of hard from the outside. You don't feel it when your foot is inside the shoe, so it's not really that big of a deal, but something that, again, on a $200 shoe, I just think looks kind of cheap. They should have hid the seam or put it in a different place, in my opinion. You also have a little bit of an extra kind of, I guess, durability piece, an extra piece of material fused to the top of the upper right here, which I thought was kind of an unusual spot to put something like that, but worth pointing out nonetheless. Moving on to the back of the shoe, you do have an external heel counter from the sprint frame, which we'll talk about more in just a second. You do have that S curve, so kind of taking from the Ultra Boost as well as the Primeknit 2.0, for those that can remember back to that particular shoe from Adidas. It was a limited edition shoe, and it's got a nice kind of synthetic suede liner, again, like you would find on the Pure Chaos, but without those texturing dots, which in all honesty doesn't make for that big of a difference in terms of how the shoe fits. Lots and lots of padding, and the heel lockdown is very good on both of these two shoes. The insole, fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. It features a soft synthetic suede liner on top and is made from a single layer of foam. This is the equivalent of the comfort insole that you would get as an extra with the lightweight ones, again, on the Pure Chaos variation. And then, of course, you have the sprint frame sole plate, which does include the heel counter, exactly the same as what you're going to find at the $300 price point, just without the chrome finish. So there is no coloring that's going to wear off on the sole plate on this particular shoe. And depending on your preferences when it comes to looks, you may argue that this does actually look a little bit better, being this kind of translucent silvery plastic, which I actually think looks quite cool. And then, of course, you do have the new X16 stud pattern, which is the same general layout you're going to find on all the current Adidas shoes. 6 studs in the forefoot, 1 support stud in the middle, 4 studs under the heel, but they all have different shapes. They're kind of like, I guess, almost little Pac-Man shapes, I guess is the best way to describe it, where part of it's a circle, then you have a little bit of a kind of curved edge to the one side. These are kind of almost teardrop shapes, in my opinion, and the heel, I don't know what you want to call that, but different shapes. Performs pretty similarly to what you're going to find from the Ace line. Obviously, you have the harder edges that kind of make it a conical bladed stud hybrid, a little bit messy, a little bit different from the Messy line as well. But again, performance-wise, whether it's on firm natural grass or artificial grass, given that this is an FGAG stud pattern, it should perform the part. The one thing that I will say is that while this shoe is artificial grass friendly for performance as well as durability, I will say that it doesn't really have the feel of a true AG stud pattern. So just keep that in mind if you are planning on picking these up and using them on artificial grass. But again, as far as traction is concerned, you're unlikely to have any issues. And I like the inclusion of the sprint frame in general. So that's pretty much it as far as tech specs and performance features. There's a lot going on with this particular shoe, and despite it looking very similar, again, to that 16 Plus Pure Chaos model, there are actually quite a few differences. When it comes to weight, I thought it'd be fun to compare the X16 Plus Pure Chaos to that of the X16.1 to see if there's any significant weight difference between the two given the design differences. So I'm going to weigh both shoes for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind these are both in brand new condition and both the exact same size 9 US, so this is a very fair comparison. We'll start off with the Pure Chaos. Throw it on the scale. You can see that they weigh in at 7 ounces exactly, the equivalent of 199 grams. Remember those numbers. Change the scale back to ounces, pull these off, and we'll throw on the X16.1, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.6 ounces, the equivalent of 215 grams. So you're talking about a 0.6 ounce weight difference between these two shoes, which isn't overly significant, but given that a lot of people would assume that these are very similar shoes design-wise, it's actually a little bit surprising. Are you gonna notice that extra 0.6 ounces on your feet? Just a little bit, but honestly, once you're playing, you kind of forget about it. It's not something that's super noticeable, but I don't think that the weight should be the deciding factor if you're trying to pick between these two shoes. But again, I think it is definitely worth noting in regards to how different these two shoes actually are, that the X16.1 does weigh a little bit more than the 16 Plus Pure Chaos. As far as aesthetics go, people have mixed opinions on the X16 Plus Pure Chaos, which I kind of understand because it does have a very spacey look given the lace cover. But with the X16.1, it does have more of a normal look, kind of an interesting cut with this extended tech fit system that I guess they're trying to pass off as kind of mid-cut. It's not exactly as low as you would normally find, but these are basically just extension pieces of material that have no structure to them. You don't really feel it when you're wearing the shoe. It just gives the shoe a little bit of visual distinction, if you will. Same goes for this top piece as well as the kind of S-curve heel. Does it actually feel better than a standard heel cut? Not necessarily. It's just something, again, to look a little bit different and stand out from the crowd, which I think they've done successfully with this particular design. Now, this is, of course, part of the Mercury pack, so you do have that metallic silver color to the upper, and it does have this kind of cool, kind of swirly pattern to it, as you guys can see. Then you have the embossed graphic, which looks pretty cool. You have the Adidas logo that, like I mentioned, is that kind of sandpaper finish. It's black in color. You have some gray laces with little white accents throughout. The orange within the actual tech fit collar area that does have some different shades of orange in there as well. And then, of course, the silver plastic sprint frame heel counter, and then the translucent or semi-translucent orange stud. So all in all, I personally do not mind how this shoe looks, but I know everyone has their own opinion on it. Let me know yours down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so you can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and, of course, what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the X16.1s on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock gray laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of Orange Punch reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. Find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they're actually pretty comfortable out of the box. Like I said earlier in the video, the synthetic material, it's not particularly soft, but does have some decent flexibility on foot, and I'm sure will get softer after some wear time. And it also isn't as thin as you would expect it to be based on how the 16 Plus Pure Agility feels. This does have some decent thickness to it. It's not thick by any means, but it's not a super thin upper either. So it does have, I guess, a more substantial feel on your foot, which again is not a bad thing, but it depends on what type of feel that you're looking for as to whether or not you're gonna like these. They feel good though. The fit is nice. It's not super, super tight. It does have a little bit more volume to it, definitely more so in comparison to the Messi models, as well as the Pure Chaos X16 Plus. This does kind of remind me a little bit more of what you get from the Ace 16.1, the synthetic variation of that shoe, but maybe with even a little bit more width overall, especially through the midfoot. Width-wise, it's one of those shoes that I think is going to be suitable for most people. It's got good width to it, it's got good volume to it, but still fits quite well. Slippage is not an issue. I don't feel like my foot is sliding around on the inside. The lockdown in the heel is very, very good as well. And again, they're comfortable shoes out of the box, minimal break-in time required. And they feel pretty good. As far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my first impressions of the Adidas X 16.1. Expect to see more follow-up content on this shoe as well as the rest of the new models from Adidas very, very soon on the channel. If you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you'll find the high quality images of this exact pair that I took myself. That'll give you a better idea as to how they actually do look in person. And of course, you'll also find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes. You'll be able to pick them up below their normal $200 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, thanks for watching.